This is not the video we intended to make. Was supposed to be a travel day video for our trip to Norway.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, things went sideways pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and on our second flight, I had a seizure.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Grant's okay. But we're gonna tell that story a little bit
Yeah.
because we
And
think
as you can see, we're home now. We are
we're
safe. We
home.
had our trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wanted to. We were debating whether we were going to share this, and
Mm,
kind of we did end up filming the vlog, like daily vlogs of our trip,
mm.
apart from this first travel day, and we kind of didn't allude to it.
I think
We alluded
to
to
something going on.
we
I
alluded
think.
to it, but we weren't like overtly like, "Hey, this happened."
Yeah.
So we kind of were just in case we didn't want to film this, but we definitely wanted to make sure like we're all about transparency and like
Yeah.
travel's not always perfect, and this was something that really did impact our travel, and it was a scary moment, and it can happen
Yeah.
to anyone, and so therefore we wanted to make sure like we
Yeah.
told you all, and we wanted to share it just in case other people go through something like this, you know.
Yeah. And I think anyone that's watching closely, particularly people that know us, would have sensed something was off anyways.
Right.
So yeah, so we're gonna talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So for context, I had a seizure 20 years ago when I was in high school. I was told at the time, like, we're going to put you on meds, but this is likely something you're going to have once in your life. It's never going to happen again. So, and it hadn't. So I thought that was something behind me.
Mm-hmm.
We've been married for almost 10 years. So Grant knew that this had happened.
Mm-hmm.
I had told him, like, this is something that could potentially happen down the road, just in case. But I don't think I ever thought this would happen again.
Yeah.
So our original plan was we flew from Raleigh, Durham, our home airport, to Reykjavik, Iceland on Iceland Air, and then from Reykjavik to Oslo.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of things kind of started to go awry right away.
Yeah. So we're not a short connection kind of flyer
No.
normally.
Mm-mm.
I'm always like 2 hours kind of
90 minutes
90
bare
minutes at the very
minimum.
minimum, and this was like an hour 10 connection,
Yeah.
and we were felt somewhat comfortable because it was a we're familiar with this airport.
Mm-hmm.
Like Reykjavik's very small, and we know it's possible,
Yeah.
but straight away we get to Raleigh Durham and our flight was delayed. And so it was a little stressed, but we weren't too bad. It was like a
Yeah.
little bit of stress here, but and we were worried we weren't going to make it. Eventually it all ended up okay because we made up some time in the air.
Yeah.
And like so we didn't miss our next flight.
Yeah.
But
But something kind of started at Raleigh Airport where I drink a lot of water. I'm on some medications that I have to be very hydrated.
mm-hmm,
And we got to the airport, we got through security, and I was like unbelievably thirsty. Like I could not get enough water. And then, so we bring our water bottles with us. We fill them once we're through security. And then I drank that almost within a few hours of the flight, being on the first flight, which is about 6 hours.
yeah.
And on Iceland Air, you get a little like cup of water a couple of times. And I slept a lot on that flight.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on
I
with
think
my
you
body.
slept and you kind of missed
I
the
missed.
drinks coming through, and like I think I got a cup of water each time or
Yeah.
something.
So
They don't do food
and they
either.
don't do food. So, but we were like, oh, well, like, it's a night flight. Like, if we don't have food, it'll be fine. So we ate at the airport. I drank all my water pretty quickly on the flight. Didn't really get more water. And then our connection was so short, I didn't have time to refill
No, we
my
literally
water.
just had to run
We
because you
lit-
have to go through passport control when you get there, and then we had to. Then by the time we got through, which was fast, but by the time we
Yeah.
got through, they were already boarding the next flight. So we didn't even.
Yeah.
You didn't even have time to go to the bathroom.
Bathroom. No, when we got on the second plane is when I went to the bathroom. But my water bottle was empty. I had some of your water, I think, but I was like already extremely dehydrated.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll listen to a couple episodes of a podcast. And then I was like, this ain't doing it for me. I'm just going to put on some Taylor Swift. I made it into a minute and about 30 seconds of the second track on the Tortured Poets department and was asleep.
And then that's where you don't really remember.
And that's kind of where my memory cuts out.
That's where I come in. So yeah, I was. Sorry, this is very hard for me to do. Like, I think Marissa's kind of said this, that like.
It was worse for you.
Because you kind of don't remember it.
I don't remember anything.
So I was kind of half asleep as well at the time. Marissa was sort of next to me, sort of sleeping. We were both just sort of going in and out, I think. And then there was one moment where I just like woke up for a second. I looked over and yeah, she was having a seizure. This is the first time I've seen Marissa have a seizure. Like, so thankfully, or anyone have a seizure, yeah. And so she was just in her seat. Like, thankfully she was in her seat. Like, so that I know like from some research that like that can be often the most sort of difficult part is if you have a fall or something like that. She was in her seat, having a seizure, and it's a little hazy for me now, even because it's like it was such a trauma panic kind of situation. But I just remember, I just sort of yelled out for help. I stood up, like there were people behind that sort of saw me panicking, and they helped call all the flight attendants over.
Yeah.
I think at this point, you had, I think the main seizure kind of had stopped, but you had kind of passed out. So in that moment, like I was full, no joke, I thought she had died. Like I thought, it's probably the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. And yeah, like, cause she had just sort of passed out, you know? But thankfully, I was probably being a little hysterical, but I think it was fine. And then,
that's normal.
all the flight attendant, like a bunch of them came, and I sort of stood up because it was a 2-seat kind of configuration. So like Marissa was in the window and I was in the aisle. So I stood up. They grabbed her, like they kind of sort of grabbed her kind of like, I think they grabbed you kind of under the arms and then sort of just like we were fairly close to the back of.
We were like 2 rows from the back.
We were pretty close to the back of the plane, which is good, I guess.
But that's impressive because I was in the window seat. So you described this and I'm like, I don't get how the physics of that works, but I believe you.
Yeah. And then they sort of drug you to the back, laid down, like you were laying down there. I'm pretty sure one of them was holding you kind of. The one that the drag pulled you back was essentially sort of just behind you, holding you to keep you kind of like somewhat up. And then another, like a few flight attendants came, and then another passenger came who was I think she was she was either a doctor or a nurse, who was extremely helpful. I don't know your name, but like I saw you in the airport after, and I did thank you in person, but thank you again if you do see this. You helped, I think, me more than anything, because you were kind of like, I think she was keeping me a little calm, and like she knew the process and how to deal with this. So essentially, like she started timing how long like you were out, and like they were doing. Then the flight attendants got like kind of a thing to, I think it was to test your blood
sugar, maybe.
Yeah, it was like a little thing and a button. It was something like oxygen levels, or I don't know. Yeah. It was something they put on your finger. They pricked your finger to test your blood, like
I had
sugar.
So many finger pricks.
I think they had to do it a couple times because it was like dark. It's a plane and it's like dark and stuff. So, and essentially we were just kind of there. Like this probably was only a period of a few minutes then, but then you eventually came to. Sort of.
Kind of.
You regained consciousness, but your brain was not there.
Yeah. I remember sitting in what apparently was the back of the plane, like in the flight attendant seat.
Once you came to, they sat you into one of the flight attendant seats. Yeah.
I remember that, but I did not realize until you told me later that we were actually in the back of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of remember sitting there. I kind of remember you trying to get my attention, but I don't remember what you said. So it's very hazy.
You were kind of dipping in and out of consciousness. It's like you were, and that's where like every time you kind of did, I was just like, Marissa, and you would go, like you would wake up and then you would look at me, but like there was not much there. Like it was very but you were responding to me, and like every time, like some other people were even talking and you weren't kind of registering them, but you were registering me, which like I guess was good for my insanity, because I'm like, okay, she's still there a little bit.
Yeah.
And just very slowly I just sort of had to keep being like, do you know where you are? And I'm like
Nope.
I'm like, you know, we're on a plane. And then you kind of eventually were like, yeah, like you were kind of like, of course we're on a plane. And I'm like,
Of course we're on a plane.
like, I think you realized, like, you were kind of looking at me like, why are you asking me these questions? Like, I think you thought you were just sitting in your seat.
I totally did. I totally did not realize I was in a different part of the plane.
And then I kind of had to tell him, like, you had a seizure, everything's fine. But yeah, it was kind of like I had to sort of keep telling you a few times, and then eventually, thankfully, I think this flight was only about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I think this happened at least halfway through, and then like so essentially once you were kind of coming to a little bit, we were getting ready to land. So they were kind of like, look, like it's safer if we can get her to her seat.
Yeah.
And so we tried to help you stand, and you could. You were still very shaky, but then you essentially just sat down, and they were still being like, look, just yell out if anything happens again, let us know, but we're going to land. We'll all be safer if we can get you there. And yeah, I had to sort of, you were coming to better then. Like you were a little more aware once you had sort of sat down, and then I told you, I'm like, do you know what just happened? And you were like, what? And like I said, you had a seizure, and I think you started crying, I think. And like you were getting real upset, but I'm like, it's okay. Like, you're fine. Everything's fine. Like we're gonna go like to the hospital, and everything will be fine. And you were okay, but it was a thing. And yeah, so we land, and then they'd called while we were the like emergency up, and they'd obviously called like the paramedics or whatever. And then we landed, and it was that sort of situation where it's like, everyone stay seated. We've got a medical emergency on board. So some of the paramedics came down the aisle and helped.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Like these paramedics, I hope this video finds you. I don't remember the woman's name. She was so sweet. The man was a teddy bear of a Norwegian giant named Klaus, and he was just like the sweetest and so warm and comforting. Fabulous, fabulous human beings.
Yeah. So they took us off the plane. And then there was like literally we just went straight out to the tarmac.
Did I walk off the plane?
Yes, okay. You walked off. So they didn't need like a stretcher or anything. I think they had something, but you didn't need it.
I remember being on a stretcher.
They put you on one, I think. Once we got down, they put you on one, and then they pushed you into the ambulance.
Got it.
That's when I think the female paramedic was talking to you a lot. I don't know if you remember this.
Vaguely.
Just asking the sort of history, like, have you had a seizure before, blah, 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 all that stuff. I was in the ambulance at that point, helping out if I could. And then they were kind of like, look, we're at the airport. We're about to take Marisa to an emergency room. It's not like a full hospital. They're like Oslo's main hospital is like 20 to 30 minutes away, so we're going to take you to it's like 5 to 10 minutes. It's sort of around the corner. It's kind of like a emergency room medical center kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they took it there, and then they're like, you have a couple options. You can come in the ambulance if you like with Marisa. However, you do have like luggage and stuff like that. So this is where the travel part
gets.
So they're like, look, you can do that, but they're like, it's going to mean you're going to have to then come back to the airport, go to Lost and Found, hope your bags are still here and like easily findable. They're like, what we would recommend is go and get the luggage, then hop in a taxi and come meet us at the medical center. And then they're like, one of them literally got a Post-it note out, wrote down the address in Norwegian and said like, give that to the taxi driver or put that in like when you have to select the destination.
Yeah.
And so I did that. It was probably the most stressful sort of baggage claim of my entire life. It was, so obviously I got sort of escorted there by like someone, like airport staff helped me sort of go to where it was. I had to wait for the bags, and then like of course the bags were like delayed. It might have been maybe we had to land in a spot that was not as close to
Yeah.
like the normal
Yeah,
area
maybe
because
we
we
had
had to go get an ambulance. That might have been the reason why, but it was probably 20 minutes before the bags even started coming out. And like, but this was to everyone. So it wasn't even just like
Yeah.
our bags were lost or something. It was like very
And
delayed.
I'm sure you're like, that 20 minutes felt like an
And I was just
eternity.
standing there, yeah, like being like, what if? Because, and then at that point too, I realized I had your phone.
Right.
Like, we'd left her backpack with her because I was like, hey, should I leave this with her? Like, it's got her passport and like her identification, stuff like that, her medications and
Yeah.
stuff. And they're like, yeah, great. But I realized at the time I'd grabbed her phone, which, by the way, you asked me about 20 times on that flight. Where's my phone?
Which
Do
is
you have my
really
phone?
funny. So something I've learned, this is like a bit of a tangent, but now both times I've had a seizure, my brain hasn't been able to process like I've had a seizure. It fixates on something else.
Yeah.
This time it was where is my phone, which I'm so addicted to my phone. So that is not at all surprising and kind of funny that that's where my brain went.
Yeah.
The first time I had a seizure, I'd been eating lunch at the time and like kicked the tray table, and I was barefoot, and so I had ketchup between my toes, like from the like this seizure, and it's in the hospital for like hours, had ketchup between my toes, and like all my brain I couldn't verbalize it, but all I could think was this ketchup, this like stuff between my toes is so gross. Like, why is no one noticing this? To this day, I cannot stand to eat saucy things with my hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
This
complete
time-
segue, but yeah, this time it was where's
This
my
time
phone?
it's where's my phone? Yeah, so she was fixated on where her phone was. So I kept telling her, and then till I realized that, I'm like, oh no, I've got her phone. Like, what if this address they gave me is like gibberish, or I can't read it, or the taxi driver can't read it? What if I'm like, I can't find where she is? She doesn't have her phone. What on earth's gonna happen?
What if?
So I'm there like just sort of somewhat panicking internally, but it ended up fine. The address was fine, but yeah, I had to get both bags, and at that time I saw the nurse or doctor that helped us. So I thanked them, and they were very nice. And there was also even the couple that was sitting behind us. They were extremely nice to me, and obviously knew I was going through something, and
Yeah.
were just kind of chatting to me, being like, "I'm sure it's going to be fine." And so it was like everyone was very nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, like they'd seen someone go through some pretty bad trauma. But anyway, I got the bags, and then made my way out. The taxi situation in Norway was like I had to go to like a big giant touchscreen computer, and I had to put this thing in. Like I couldn't just go up to a taxi and be like, go here. It was like I had to put the address in, and thankfully it found it, figured it out. I got a taxi driver that didn't speak English, but he was like hospital. Like when I showed him the thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then he took me there, ended up taking me to the wrong entrance, and I walked into some like. It was like I think it was a university or hotel, or it was some weird thing attached to this medical center. And then they told me it was like 2 doors down or whatever. And I eventually found, and then, we came through and you were in bed. And then, but apparently I didn't miss too much.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I was in the I was in the ambulance, with my new bestie Klaus, and like he was so sweet. He was just like holding my hand a lot of it, and just being super warm and comforting. And get to this emergency department. They kind of put me in a bed in a room with like 2 other people, and there's like screens, like so you're by yourself. And then someone came and pricked my finger, which I think was like the 3rd or 4th time I had my finger
Probably,
pricked.
yeah.
I had like all the pads of my fingers had like little pricks in them. It was ridiculous. And then nothing happened.
Yeah.
I think they forgot about me. I just sat there for like, it wound up being about 2 hours by myself.
Well, it wouldn't have been 2 hours by yourself.
It
would have
was
been
about an hour by myself, I think.
Like by
And
the
then
time
you
I got there, it might have been maybe 45 minutes or something, and then
Felt
we
like
sat there
forever.
together for maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, and just
Because there was other people obviously that were getting helped and stuff, but they almost it might have just been because I think they took your blood, and did your
Yeah.
things. And maybe they would making sure the tests come back. I don't know.
I don't know. No one came. No one said anything. No one checked on me. It was very strange. And then finally, we flagged down a nurse, and she's like, "Oh, has the doctor come to see you yet?" I was like, "No." And then she disappears, and then she comes back, and that's kind of where things got really weird. So essentially, because this was like an emergency department, but not a full hospital, I don't think they had like all the diagnostic equipment they would have liked. And so what she wanted to do was send me to the proper hospital for more tests.
Yeah.
And I was not super keen on that for a few reasons. One, when I had my original seizure 20 years ago, like immediately when the ambulance got to my house, they did an EEG, they did an EKG, they sent me to the hospital, they did an MRI, they did another EEG, and probably other tests that I don't remember. That's just what I'm aware of. And then for the next 2 years, I had EEGs and MRIs fairly regularly. At not one point in any of that did any of those tests show anything. Even when I got to the hospital that day, they were like, it's like you've never had a seizure. So I have that context in the back of my head, and I understand medicine has changed significantly in 20 years. But that was the experience I had. And I also didn't want to get prescribed any medication without talking to my doctor first, because I'm already on several medications that are for my brain chemistry. I've been on these medications before, and I know how bad they can mess with you.
Could be even more dangerous than...
Yeah, so I'm trying to explain all this to the nurse, and she was like, well, what do you want me to do? And I was like... I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm barely cognitive at this point. If you could give me some guidance, that would be great.
Yeah.
So essentially, the decision we came to was we decided not to go to the hospital, which was, I guess, against medical advice, but they didn't make us sign anything. So, but she did prescribe us some medication that was essentially, if I had another seizure and it lasted longer than 5 minutes, it was something Grant could administer to stop it.
Essentially just like an emergency, sort of emergency medication just in case.
Yeah. So I think having that made us feel a little bit better. And that was kind of it.
Yeah. So, because a lot of this was kind of like, we know these tests are probably not going to reveal anything right away.
Yeah.
And if we do this, it's going to actually derail our entire
itinerary.
Because we were staying in Oslo that night. And then we were getting on the train the next day and going to Flom, which is a small like fjord town, kind of in the middle of Norway. And if we stayed overnight at a hospital, that would have just derailed the entire trip. And because then we were going back to Oslo, but not for like, what was it?
3 days.
It was 3 days. So we didn't have accommodation in Oslo after that.
Yeah.
Like for that small period until we got back. And we were kind of like, look, we would feel more comfortable doing these tests once we get home. We've had this before. We knew like we probably weren't going to find something straight away because we were kind of like, let's just we both sort of just sat there and we were like, I think we're comfortable not going to the hospital. Like we've got this emergency medication to get us home.
My seizure was less than 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is kind of the like,
the barometer for it being like
how bad it is.
Yeah. So we made the decision, like, it's like, if this was at home, like, we would have, of course not, we would have went to the hospital, we would have done all the tests straight away. But this is one of those things when you travel is like, we're in a foreign country where it's obvious, like, thankfully it was Norway, like, so all of this actually didn't end up being very expensive. We do have travel insurance. I'm trying to do the claims now. Hopefully they work. But even if it doesn't, like, the ambulance was free. The medical center cost, I think, $150 total for that sort of just going there. And then I think the medication was $90. And then, like, there was just the expense of me getting a cab to the thing and then us getting an Uber to Oslo city center because we were going to get the train in, and that we were no longer near the train station. So even if it was out of pocket, we were very lucky. It wasn't like, it wouldn't have impacted us like in other countries. But yeah, we were kind of like, look, I think as long as you can kind of say like, hey, you give us the all clear, like she's okay. Because they said like she already felt better. They checked like her pulse and her blood and all, like they did her eyes, like they did all this stuff and said she's theoretically healthy now. So we were like, I think that's enough for us to go on. We're going to obviously be pretty careful for the rest of the trip. But we're gonna make that. Obviously, it's taking a risk, like to not sort of do more, but it was that was what we in the moment. That's the decision we made, and I think we made it home safely. So I think we made the right call. I think we made
the right call. And I also had the context of roughly know how long I was out for after my first seizure. I was really not conscious till the following day. Yeah. So I had that around midday, that seizure around midday. I was really not with it till the following morning.
Yeah.
And this time I was really, in a lot of ways, feel more cognitive and functioning within a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like another data point for me of like, okay,
I'm recovering
way faster. I feel way better. This is a decision I'm confident in.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of at least that day. And then we went back to the hotel. We got something to eat and went to bed.
Crashed.
Because
we were both exhausted.
We were both exhausted. And so from the next day onwards, you'll see all the videos from next week.
You'll get to see it.
But yeah, that day, like honestly, like at the time it was incredibly stressful. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It was like honestly a very bad situation. But now reflecting on it, it almost happened in the best possible place. Like having all the trained flight attendants there. You were sitting, like we then were able to sort of get the treatment. Like I think it all, like it felt very like the flight attendants were amazing.
Yeah.
And it was reassuring to know that they knew how to handle it and to sort of get everyone through that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. But then we sort of, as I said, you'll see the videos, and you'll probably see us taking it a little easier than we normally do. There was a lot of midday naps for multiple hours.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like not walking as much as we normally do.
Yeah.
There was a lot sort of being more mindful, like us always having like plenty of water, eating all the time. And I admit I was extremely overprotective of Marisa.
You were.
I was very stressed. And like honestly, this is, what day is it now? Thursday. We got back on Monday night. I've been pretty wiped out. Like you've been as well, but like I think I was under a lot of stress that whole week, and my brain just kind of once we got home was like, oh god.
Yeah, I think your brain wasn't letting you really process it. But now your brain's letting you process it.
And I think the other part I want to kind of just touch on for just the transparency of like the travel part is almost the worst part of this was flying home. Where, at least for me, I don't know how it was, how you felt, but I was extremely scared of sort of Marisa falling asleep again on the plane.
For 6 hours, he was like...
Yeah, essentially. That's
like
not even...
every little movement of my face, or like every little like sound I made, you reacted.
Like thankfully it was like, this was kind of like a midday sort of flight, so it wasn't super late at night. So I was like, in theory, like we should be able to stay up. Until we get home, it's going to then be about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and we'll go to sleep. So I tried my best to keep... it probably didn't matter, but I think my trauma was like you being asleep and it happening again. Yeah. But so I downloaded all these shows on our iPad. We
watched 1 billion hours of Drive to Survive.
Yeah. And we had this time, we were flying Iceland Air again, so we knew there wasn't much like food and drink. Like you can buy stuff, but it's like, we're like, so we just like we bought sandwiches ahead of time, snacks.
We didn't have
tons
snacks
of
for us
water.
on the plane.
So I was always making sure Marisa was eating, and we had like, like it was whatever the Norwegian equivalent of like liquid IV and water and like all that stuff, like being very careful. And we made it home fine. But yeah, Yeah,
it sucked.
We're still as I said, we only just sort of got home, so we're now, there's obviously going to be doing some tests and figuring out, because we want to figure out, like, is this epilepsy now, right?
Yeah.
Like now that it's happened more than once, we want to sort of make sure that it's...
We want to see what's going on. Fortunately, our city's tagline is the city of medicine, We live right near Duke, which has an epilepsy clinic. It looks like my insurance is going to cover that, which is super exciting. So I think the next step for us, we're meeting with my normal doctor today, and then we're going to be hopefully getting a referral to the epilepsy clinic so we can start that process. They also have somebody who specializes in epilepsy in women, which is kind of cool. As far as this goes, saying that's cool is weird, but like...
it seems like we can have the best possible chance to find out what's going on.
I was incredibly unsatisfied with the care I had as a teenager, and so I feel like this is a chance of like I can do this kind of on my terms now, and get care in a way that I'm satisfied with for the first time. But yeah, this was really hard. Like seeing you walk into that hospital room was like one of the worst moments of my life because like the look on your face was so haunted. Like that was the hardest.
Yeah. I think for multiple days, I think the first few days of that trip too, Marisa was kind of like, are you okay?
I kept asking if he was okay. And I feel like the one thing we didn't talk about is so fortunately I was sitting. I pulled all my calf muscles in my right leg, so I was, if you might see in some of the video, I'm limping a little bit. And then I think I probably kicked the seat in front of me. Or it was
scraped when you were being dragged back.
Yeah, that like pointy bone on your the outside of your ankle, that is completely scraped raw still a week later.
So Marisa was pretty beat up.
I was pretty beat up, and then I was still pretty unsteady on my feet for a couple of days, and we were on a tram. And when it started to move, I fell because I was trying to sit and I just didn't get there. And I have a giant bruise on my leg. Yeah. If you've ever seen the movie A League of Their Own, it looks like the bruise the girl has when she slides into home. It's like that. It's massive.
Yeah. So Marisa was through the...
So my body's pretty beaten up and bruised. And Grant's emotionally beaten up and bruised.
But I think it could have been way worse.
Could have been so much worse.
I know there's like often people will have, if they're walking or whatever, they can have head injuries from this.
Fall downstairs.
They'll bite their tongue incredibly bad that they can't even eat. So like we were extremely lucky that didn't happen.
I'm 2 for 2 of being sitting down on soft surfaces having seizures. So there's that.
But so we wanted to kind of really do this video first before sort of the series. That's Ellie.
That's Ellie. She's saying hi.
Yeah. We wanted to release this video first just for a little bit of context on if we seem a little different on the rest of the journey in Norway. But yeah, we just thought it was important to do this video, to be transparent, to be like, hey, like our travels might seem all perfect and it's not always perfect, but like travel can be scary. Travel can be, it can be, what's the word? It can be like, unpredictable. Yeah. And that's an important part of sort of documenting that is that knowing that things can go wrong.
But I think also it kind of reinforced like why we do it because you don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's kind of what kickstarted us traveling more in the first place was we lost a very close friend. Yeah. And so it just kind of like...
We want to make the most of the time we have while we're healthy. I
think it like we're pretty close and attached at the hip anyways, but I think it like bonded us even more.
Yeah. I know definitely. Like I think it, it put a lot of stuff in perspective. But yeah, we could have just sort of pretend this didn't happen. You would have got that cheery first video.
And it would have been a lie.
From day 2, where it's starting in a hotel room in Oslo.
Because honestly, like a lot of those shots where I'm like, I'm faking it hard. I am masking. Mm-hmm. I'll take my Oscar.
But we got home and we're like, we should probably talk about this, even just for our own like catharsis. Right?
It has been pretty cathartic.
But yeah, so... Thanks, thank you for watching this. We definitely want like this to be a research. Like, we hope that this experience can be sort of like can help someone if they go through something similar, if they have an emergency on a plane, or if they have seizures. Like,
Yeah.
Definitely or leave your experiences in the comments.
Share.
We everyone just share your experiences. If you've had seizures or if you have epilepsy, we would really appreciate you leaving comments below, because we're still discovering what's happening here.
We're still processing.
So
this.
you might have epilepsy, you might not, and so it's scary.
Yep.
But we don't anticipate this sort of stopping us traveling, because that's what we love, and we love doing this, and we hopefully there'll be a way we can manage this, and
we've already got next year planned.
Yeah,
so
we've got a lot of trips planned, so we hopefully it doesn't impact that too much. But yeah, it's been a journey. Travel is crazy, unexpected, but we still had an amazing time.
Yes, we did.
Thankfully, we were still able to get the most out of our trip. Even if it was a little,
not what we anticipated.
The journey was a little rocky getting there. Yeah, but no.
Yeah. But I'm okay. You're okay, and that's what matters.
We're safe, and we're
safe.
Everything is fine. Yeah. But thank you so much for watching.
Yes, if you've made it all the way through this,
we appreciate it.
Yes.
and you'll get to see there'll be a whole 8 days of us in Norway. We're going to Flom, a small little fjord town, which is one of our favorite places in the world.
Yes.
And then we're spending a whole bunch of time in Oslo exploring everything there is to do there. So definitely.
It was an awesome time.
Yeah, been a good time. But once again, thanks so much for watching.
Yes.
We'll catch you in higher spirits and much happier times in the next videos that follow.
Thank you.
Thank you.